Hello, everybody, and happy Monday. I hope everyone who is watching this currently had a safe and relaxing and fun weekend. And I am trying to figure out why I can hear myself in my ears, but it could be the vertigo. Who knows what's going on? But anyway, I am Teri True Crime, and welcome to Midday Missing, where I cover current missing person cases. And if you're new here, currently True Crime and Wine Time Production produces the podcast True Crime and Wine Time, The Hey Ho Show, the investigation into the disappearance of Chase Lackey, Night Court, which is on hiatus but is coming back revamped, and JT has a lot of cool stuff. We also started Women on Death Row last week, and of course, Midday Missing. But we have a new series that we'll be announcing really soon, as well as some other exciting news for everyone. So stay tuned for all of the fun stuff that's coming. We stream live several days a week. We also upload pre recorded videos. So be sure to subscribe to our page so you do not miss anything. And I will tell you, if you have not joined the Hey Ho Show, you have to give it a try because it's not our normal format. It's not heavy, not true crime. It is a whole bunch of ridiculousness with Rude Boy and JT. And guys, it will make you laugh out loud like you never thought you would. Okay. So definitely give that one a try. Now, I do have two new cases today. The first one, his name is Eodis Trey Harris, but he went by Trey. So that is what I am going to call him. Plus, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing his first name correctly, and he didn't go by it. So, anyway, Trey was 32 the last time he spoke with his mother, Corlita. It was June 16th, 2021. And Trey had called his mom around 3:45 in the morning. And like most moms, she said, "Why are you up so late? And why are you calling me?" And Trey told his mom that he couldn't sleep. So he was out walking his two dogs, Smokey and Bandit. Guys, those names just brought back a lot of memories to me. But Corlita told Dateline's Missing in America that while she was talking to Trey, she heard him talking to a couple of people about his dog. She said it was a nice, normal conversation. So, kind of like he's out walking. Now, I do have to say, why were other people out at 3:45 in the morning? But I guess dogs got to do what dogs got to do and maybe go to the bathroom. But she said it was a very normal conversation. And they ended the call with Trey saying, "Hey, I'll call you the next morning." So Corlita went to bed. I don't know if she went back to bed, but she went to bed. But sadly, she woke up the next morning and she saw that Trey had tried to call her again a little after 4 o'clock in the morning. And she said missing that call still haunts her. Guys, I can only imagine, you talk to your son and he calls 15, 20 minutes later and you've fallen asleep. I mean, it was 4 o'clock in the morning and you missed their call. I mean, I've done it. We've all done it. So she woke up. She tried calling and texting her son the next day. And guys, she didn't get an answer. And as the day went on, she grew very concerned, which I think most of us would have if, we were in that situation. Now, later that day, Trey's empty truck was found in Aspermont, Texas. Now, guys, I had to look up Aspermont because I have never in my life heard of this place. I even asked Double H, I'm like, "Have you ever heard of this town?" And he was like, "Nope." So looked it up. Now, it's a town with less than 400 people. So I'm going to guess that's why I've never heard of it. But looking where it is, I'm guessing I've maybe driven through it or near there. But that's beside the point. But Trey's truck was found at a stoplight with the engine still running, and his wallet was still inside the truck. Okay, guys, that is freaky to me. I mean, not on the side of the road, not parked in a parking lot, but at a traffic light, just still running. Okay. So when the Stonewall County Sheriff's Office started looking into the abandoned truck, they found a witness that said they saw a black male get out of the truck with two dogs and start walking off. Now, once they confirmed whose truck it was, they immediately called to Fort Worth area where Trey lived and where he was from, and they gathered the security footage from the apartment complex there in Fort Worth. Trey was seen around 3:45 in the morning, so probably right after he talked to his mom, getting into his truck with his two dogs. Now, law enforcement began looking into this because they found it very suspicious that his truck was just left there, right? And no signs of the dog. Now, police, along with Trey's mother, said they do not think the man seen getting out of the truck in Aspermont was Trey and that it was another black man. Guys, I could not find any reason why they thought this. Not whether it was because the description maybe was a shorter man, thinner man, could not find anything, but did find that police said that the truck had been detailed like someone was trying to remove evidence. So not only is the truck found, it's found totally wiped down and cleaned, and his dogs were not there. Now, sadly, one of the dogs was found later to be farther away from the truck, and it had been hit by a car. The other dog was found alive, and Trey's mom was able to pick up the dog. Now, Trey had quit his job a couple of weeks before this happened. And when he called his mom the first time that day, she said he was very upset. He was crying. He was distraught. So something was definitely going on. But she said he sounded more hopeful when they got off the phone. And like I said, he said he'd call her the next day. He was close with his mom. He would not have just disappeared and not called her and left. So Trey has not been seen or heard from since that day, and his family is still seeking answers. They recently celebrated his birthday with an event, and they want to know what happened to Trey. So if you have any information, please contact the Stonewall County Sheriff's Office at 940-989-3333. Sorry, guys, I'm going to get a quick drink. Took a lot of decongestants and medicine this morning to help with the vertigo I'm feeling, and it's making me very dry, so I apologize. Next is a case that is just as baffling. I have said so many times on this that y'all probably wish I'd quit saying it, but an alien ship does not just show up, beam down, and pick somebody up. Somebody sees something, somebody knows something. This next case is just as disturbing and baffling as Trey's. On April 21st, 2016, 19-year-old James Martin Roberts, who went by Martin mostly, vanished from the college town of Boone, North Carolina. Guys, he left behind everybody. I would call it a huge mystery because they do not know. He was a student at Appalachian State University. He was last seen near the university library. Guys, and this is a familiar place in town, and it's a tight-knit community there. But despite extensive search efforts and media coverage, he has not been seen. Okay. He was last seen, like I said, on security video walking away from the library with his backpack, did not seem to be upset, did not seem to be distraught, wasn't with anyone. Now, Martin was known to those close to him as a very thoughtful and intelligent young man. He was raised in Kernsville, North Carolina. He was an athlete who excelled in swimming and lacrosse while he was in high school. And he had good grades in it. He was able to get into Appalachian State University. He was wanting to pursue computer science. Now, he did not have problems in school with his academics, but it is said that the loss of a family member and academic pressures that he was struggling in school. And some say this has led to maybe his disappearance. So, in the days and weeks leading up to his disappearance, Martin exhibited behavior that suggests he was struggling with some things. Okay. Friends and family noticed that he had become more withdrawn, and there were indications that he was facing some big challenges at school. Maybe college, he bit off a little bit more than he thought he could. Now, on April 21st, he spent the morning attending classes, and like I said, he was last seen around 12:30 near the library. He was calmly walking, guys. There is no sign of distress when he's walking. Now, they have pieced together some information from witness statements and surveillance footage. Now, he often went to the library, which makes sense if you're struggling and you need some extra study time. Studying in the dorms isn't always the place to get studying done, right? Now, guys, he was seen walking, but he was walking as he normally would. He didn't look like he was rushing, and he left behind his phone, wallet, and other personal belongings, which, guys, made people worry for his safety, especially because he was struggling and they thought maybe he was, going through some things mentally. Now, he failed to return home that evening, and his friends grew concerned, and they did the right thing. They reported him missing. And guys, the initial response was swift. I mean, I know we've all heard cases where they're like, oh, they're an adult. They have the right to do this, yada, 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 yada. This was not the case there. They swiftly jumped into action and started looking for him. Okay. And it was local law enforcement, family, friends. They all got together and started searching the area, and they tried to go to all of the places that he known that he went all the time. Now, guys, the town was shaken by this, I think, as any college town would be. Guys, the search for Martin was extensive. Now, something to know about this area, it is very mountainous terrain surrounding Boone, and it's vast. There, people can go missing in the Appalachian Mountains and never be seen again. There is a lot of wildlife, and there's a lot of places that somebody could go off the grid. And they used every resource that they could. They brought in search dogs, helicopters, everything they could. They have found no traces of him. Okay, nothing. They then extended the search into the neighboring counties, and they even looked in other states based on tips and leads that were coming in. Because, as we all know, somebody goes missing, it gets out there in the media. You get people calling in tips. Sometimes you get crazies calling in tips, people who, I don't know, I guess they don't have anything better to do and they just want to cause chaos. But his disappearance gained a lot of media attention locally and nationally. I heard about it here in Texas. So that tells you they got the word out there. And his case has been on several news outlets. They have a big social media campaign that's gone on, and they still, to this date, no viable tips or sightings of James Martin. He went by Martin, but police said he could, if he disappeared on his own, maybe go by James. Now, there are several theories out there about his disappearance. One is the usual that he chose to disappear voluntarily, given the personal challenges he was facing. However, those who knew him well said they don't believe this is the case. He had just bought groceries, and the groceries were also missing. He had just gotten a haircut, and you don't usually do those things if you're planning on going off the grid, or I wouldn't think you would. If I'm going to be going on the grid, off the grid, the last thing I would do is go buy groceries. First of all, I hate the grocery store, and I don't think I would go get my hair cut. But then again, I might go get my hair colored if I thought it was going to be a long time before I was going to get it colored again. Now, another theory is that, of course, he fell victim to foul play. But as of now, unless the police are keeping it close to their vest, they have not released any information as to why that could be possible. Okay. Now, some speculate that he went off and decided to end his life because of what was going on in his life. But there's no definitive answers or anything pointing to this. Okay. Now, the case of James Martin Roberts is very challenging, guys, because there is no evidence. Okay. They jumped into action and started looking. And to the best that I could find, there is no evidence leading them in one direction or the other. Now, the fact that he left behind his personal belongings suggests maybe he left just for a little bit, but he didn't plan on staying gone for an extended period of time. But also, if he decided to go into the mountain area and end his life, leaving behind your things could possibly make sense. But adding to this is the fact that he was struggling with some things. So it's hard to know. Maybe he decided to go look for some drugs to self medicate to feel better. There truly is not one path that you could find and go down and say what happened. It is still unsolved. And guys, it still haunts, of course, his family and friends, but that community and the people there at the college, they have not forgotten. Now, in April of this year, law enforcement released a statement saying they are still working on this case. And they worked with NamUs to get an age progression photo to help the public know what he might look like today and to remind people he went by Martin, but his first name is James. He could be going by James. He does have a tattoo on his arm and he does have a tattoo on his chest. Now, the photos that we have shared on our social media shows the picture that has been age progressed. So, just that you all know, that is what they think he would look like today. Now, I did what I often do. I went down the rabbit hole. Okay. Sometimes I ask myself, why? Why do I do this to myself? But I did. And I found several posts regarding his disappearance and saw that people are speculating about the letter that he left behind. From everything I have seen online and on this Reddit post, there's multiple Reddit forums around this. The letter did not say that he was going to kill himself. It was not a suicide note or a typical suicide note, but it was more about he felt he disappointed people and maybe his family. And some people are speculating that he said he was gay and he was unable to tell his family. Now, the family has not released the letter, and some people found that strange, and some people were bashing them for not doing that. And guys, I just want to go on the record and say the family doesn't have to share the letter with the public. As long as they shared it with the police, which it seems like they did, just in case it had information to help lead them to find him, then we as the public need to accept that the family wants to keep it private, and that is 100% okay. So get off their backs. I personally have never had a family member go missing, and I do not know how or what I would do or how I would act or not act. One thing I am 100% sure of is that people would find fault in everything I did or didn't do. Okay. With the age of social media, it seems like we have a lot of people that just feel very comfortable getting behind their keyboard and saying all of this stuff. So that's one thing I'm sure of. No matter what I did, somebody would complain about it or they would complain about what I didn't do. So, what I want to ask all of you is to remember to be kind and realize we are not living through what his family is. And they do not have to share every intimate detail with the public. If he was truly struggling with being gay and he put that in the letter, guys, it's none of our damn business. Okay. We know he was struggling with something. We know he was struggling at school. That is not uncommon for kids who go off to college. That first year is an adjustment. You've lived at home, the safety of your home. All of a sudden, you're out there. There's not someone making sure you get up and go to class. There's not someone making sure you do this and that. Everyone struggles. So if he was struggling with that extra piece, so be it. Unfortunately, our society has made it where people who are gay struggle more than they have to because people have to worry about being accepted when they come out. They have to worry about what their friends, family, and the public are going to say. And guys, that is horrific. Okay. And we as a society need to do better. Okay. It doesn't matter. He was a young man who was struggling with some things. And if that is in the letter, his family, I applaud them for keeping that quiet. If he didn't out himself, no one else should. So please try to remember that. Also, if you have any information regarding the disappearance of James Martin, please contact the Boone Police at 828 268 6900. You can also follow the Facebook page, Help Find Martin Roberts, to stay up to date on his disappearance and any new information. Now, something I wanted to say that I found very interesting is the number of college kids who go missing and are not found. It's shocking. I'm going to do some more research, and in a future episode, I'm going to share some of the statistics because it's scary, guys. Here we are. A lot of people are getting ready to go off to college. My best friend's son is going to be moving into his dorm next week. And the thought that these college kids are experiencing life on their own. I mean, you go to school, you are an adult, you're learning to adult, you're still a teenager, you're still figuring out life. You are vulnerable because you also, a lot of times, are starting to experiment with drinking. So, another thing I want to ask everyone, please try to take care of your friends, your loved ones. If you've got loved ones going off to college, make sure that you talk to them about things to keep them safe. Make sure they turn on Find My Phone, I forget what it's called, or Follow 360 so that you can find your kids. Because when you go off to college, you're going to experiment, you're going to try new things. Depending on where you are, that leaves you vulnerable because, guys, I'm sorry to tell you this, there's a lot of crazy freaking people in this world, and shit happens, and it happens to good people. Okay. So please do those things because we don't want to stop college kids from experiencing life. But with the way the world is today, we do need them to be safe. Okay. So as I normally try to do, I try to end on a lighthearted and positive note. Well, I got a lot of positive feedback about the short story about the naughty little Jasper last time. So I thought I would give you another little short story today. I guess we'll call it a palate cleanser, even though I'm drinking water because it's the middle of the day and I can't drink wine in the middle of the day. So, once upon a time in a small town lived a woman named Lucy. Lucy was known for her bright smile, infectious laughter, and uncanny ability to lose her keys. Guys, I almost put that she lit up a room that she walks into, but that would mean she's going to wind up on Dateline because every time I hear someone say, "Oh, she lit up a room when she walked into it," I think they're going to wind up on Dateline. And I also know no one will ever say those words about me because I do not light up a room when I walk into it. Anyway, Lucy always was losing her keys. In fact, guys, Lucy losing her keys had become such a common occurrence that the townspeople often joked that the keys were probably hiding from her on purpose. Okay, guys, that's kind of funny. Every morning, Lucy's day would start with her cheerfully getting ready for work. But just as she was about to leave, she would freeze and say, "Shit, where are my keys?" And as we all know, she would panic and the search would begin. Lucy had tried everything to keep track of her keys. She bought a key rack shaped like a giant key and hung it by the door. And she thought, this will solve everything because I will put my keys there every day. So she was confident this was the answer to her solution. I guess not the answer to her solution. How about the answer to her problem? But the keys would somehow find their way to the couch cushions, the fridge, or once hilariously in her dog's bed. Little did she know that her dog Rufus had developed a mischievous habit of carrying them off in the night as if to play a game of hide and seek with her. Her friends and neighbors soon got involved in this key hunting routine. They would say, "Check the laundry basket loosely," or they would say, "Hey, be sure to look in the cookie jar. Did you check the mailbox?" Now, the mailman said, "Definitely check your mailbox," because he remembered the day he delivered her keys back to her after she had dropped them in the box along with a letter. Okay, guys, that is something I would so do. Now, one particularly chaotic morning, after upturning every possible spot in her house, Lucy decided she had had enough. She put up posters around town offering a reward for the safe return of her keys. The poster read, "Lost one set of keys. They are small, shiny, and have an infinity for disappearing. Reward one batch of homemade cookies." Now, the kids in this town thought this was going to be the best scavenger hunt ever, and they were going to be able to get some cookies. And their parents couldn't say no to cookies because they were a reward. So they searched high and low, digging through sandboxes, checking under benches, and even trying to interview Rufus, who wagged his tail but kept mum on his nightly key heist. Now, days passed, and Lucy received everything from toy keys to antique keys, but none were her own. Just when she was about to give up all hope, she got a call from the man who owned the local hardware store. He said, "Lucy, I think I found something that belongs to you." Lucy rushed over only to find her keys hanging on a hook in the shop right next to the shiny new keychains. She goes, "How in the hell did they get here?" she asked. Jenkins laughed. He goes, "Well, Rufus must have brought them in. He's been sneaking in for treats when I'm not looking." Okay, guys, my first question I want to ask here is, how is he so smart to find his way to the hardware store? That's a smart dog. Now, from that day on, Lucy decided that maybe, just maybe, she wasn't meant to keep her keys in the usual place. So she decided to get smart. She gave Rufus his own key ring, and every morning they played a little game of find the keys. It became their special routine, and much to Lucy's surprise, she never lost her keys again. Well, except for that one time they ended up in the freezer, but we're just going to say that's a story for another day. So the answer was Rufus would hide the keys and they would play the game and he would return the keys and would get a treat. So I hope that made y'all laugh. Probably not the best story I've written, but I thought it was kind of cute. I want to say thank you all for joining me today. I want to remind you, please share the missing person flyers that we have posted on our Facebook, our Instagram, and on our TikTok so that we can help these families get the word out on their missing loved ones. And I had someone send me a DM saying, "Do you think you are disrespecting the families by covering their cases?" And I gave it some thought, guys, and I don't think I am. A lot of the cases I cover do not get the media attention that they deserve, and I am just sharing the information that I can find online because the more we can get the word out there, the more people join the Facebook groups that the family has set up, the more we share the missing person flyers, the more likely we are for somebody to talk and tell what happened. Because, like I said, an alien didn't just beam up Scotty, okay? Somebody knows something. And as we all know, humans, we talk, we talk, somebody knows. So I do not feel I'm being disrespectful. I feel that I am doing what I can to advocate for them and to get the word out there. So, once again, I want to thank you all for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you all again on Wednesday for our next episode of Midday Missing. Now, on Wednesday, I am going to be covering one case that has had a lot of media spotlight. Normally, I wouldn't cover the case because I try to cover the cases that don't get the spotlight. But guys, Amy Lynn Bradley's case has haunted me from the time I learned about it. So I decided to cover it on Midday Missing instead of doing a special episode of True Crime and Wine Time for it. So if you want to know more about Amy Lynn Bradley, who went missing while on a cruise with her family, and Selena Mays, definitely be sure to subscribe on our channel so you can get notified. And I also want to say, don't forget, you can catch all of our productions here on our YouTube channel. And I want to remind everybody to please also, when sharing missing person flyers, make sure they're legitimate. There are people, I'm going to guess in other countries, that are taking photos of missing people who've been found or still missing, but changing the names and doing scam posts. One way you can look for this is if they do not have a phone number on there for you to contact, do not reshare it. I go the extra step and go Google the name to see if the person is really missing. The reason why, when people share these scam posts, it lets the scammers know that the person did this. They then are getting into their social media accounts. So I want to remind you all, please be very careful. If you go to our True Crime and Wine Time page, you will see that I have posted a thing that shows how you can spot scam post. You can also find it on my Teri True Crime page. So once again, please keep sharing the missing person flyers, but try to validate that they are legit before sharing them. And I hope everyone has a great week, and I will see you all back here on Wednesday.